knocked on his door and was like, you're facing murder charges, you gotta come with us. And he's like, what? They're just looking for evidence to back up Scott's story, and they see a hand in dirt, and boy did the truth come out. What's up, Team Jazzy? It's your girl Jazzy J, and I am back with another mukbang. So today's true crime is going to be about a man who posted a Craigslist ad that changed his life forever. I call all of my subscribers Team Jazzy, so if you would like to be a part of the team, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel and turn your post notifications on so that you never miss another video. Give this video a big thumbs up on the simple fact that we have a seafood boil. I have king crab legs, black mussels, boiled eggs, fettuccine noodles, potatoes, and shrimp. Did I get everything? Yep. Okay, I'm gonna pray so I can eat because I'm hungry. Y'all know it's been a minute since I had some seafood, so I hope I can tell the story. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the food that I'm about to receive. I ask that it may be nourishment to my body. I ask that you bless the hands of a predator and bless my entire team, Jazzy. Amen. Okay, oh my God, y'all. It's been so long. Hold on, let me get a fork. I also have some soda water, and I'm gonna pour it in my lime and lemon. Gonna taste just like Sprite. So as we all know, Craigslist can either be helpful or dangerous. And in Richard Beasley's case, it ended up being pretty dangerous. And you just kind of gotta like take your chances. Take your chances on Craigslist. You never know who could be on the other side of the screen. It could be a killer that's posting an ad, or a killer disguised as a potential buyer looking to purchase. So good. So in Akron, Ohio, there was a man by the name of Richard Beasley who was young and dumb. He ended up getting 12 years in prison due to burglary. He left behind his daughter and his ex-wife. And when he got out of jail, he turned his life around. He got into a serious car accident, and he turned his life around. He gave his life to Christ. He started working on his relationship with his daughter, and he became a minister, always visiting the homeless shelter just to give back. He owned 688 acres of cattle farmland. Literally tastes like Sprite. No sugar though. He worked for the police enforcement and was basically like their snitch. Like he was like an undercover cop, and he would befriend drug dealers to catch them. Woo child, this is messy. And he also met this little boy named Brogan. Brogan was about 7-8 years old, and he had a rough childhood. His father abandoned them, and his mother was on drugs. So Richard took him under his wing, and he became like a father figure to Brogan. Well, years later, life is going well, and Richard Beasley is now older, and he needs help outside of Brogan. He needs help with his cattle farm. And so he doesn't know much, like our parents. They didn't know much about the internet when it first came out. And so, like all parents, he asked his daughter, Tanya, to help him figure out Craigslist. He's like, you know, I want to make an ad to either sell my equipment or to hire help because I need help on the cattle field. So she taught him about Craigslist. He created an ad that changed his life forever, literally. So what do you know? To Richard Beasley's surprise, he gets a hit on Craigslist. And it's a guy who is 48 years old. His name is Scott Davis. And so Richard told Scott, scan in your ID and scan in your ID so I can do a background check on you. He did a background check. Everything came back fine. And so he's like, okay, let's schedule an interview. And since you're from South Carolina, you know, I would need you to move here. And he's like, yeah, no. Scott was like, yeah, no problem. And so Richard had asked Brogan, could you be a part of the interview? Of course, Brogan said, yeah. They do the interview. Everything went perfect. He hired him immediately. He was like, this is like perfect. And he's like, I actually need help cleaning up our last project that me and Brogan did. And Scott's like, yep, no problem. I'm here to help. So they go to the woods. But all of a sudden, a fight breaks out between Scott and Richard. They both started fighting. With Brogan waiting back at the car, he hears a gunshot, and then all of a sudden, he sees Richard running towards the car. And he's like, he just tried to kill me. Scott just tried to kill Richard. So Richard runs away, and he immediately goes into hiding because he's like, I don't know who else is coming for me. It could be gang-related, being that I used to be a snitch for the police. So 10 days later, November 16, 2011, the police knocks on Richard's door. And they said, hey, we're here to take you in. You're facing murder charges. And he's like, no, you got this thing wrong. I was the one that almost got murdered. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we found 4 bodies. And so we're going to hold you in custody until trial. Yo, trial was not until 2 years later. This man sat in jail for 2 years before they went to trial. So 2013, they went to trial. So Scott and Richard could testify against each other. And boy, did the truth come out. So this is where it all makes sense. This is what Scott said during trial. So there was a Craigslist post. Okay, we know. And it said, 688 acres of land, beautiful, secluded, must be willing to relocate. This is a dream of a lifetime. I am an older minister and I need help with feeding the cows. He sent in his ID. He got a background check. Everything was good. He said, okay, come right away. You got the job. Let's go out for breakfast. During breakfast, everything seemed good. He said that Richard told him, I need help cleaning up the last project. Let's go to the woods. He said, okay. He said as he was walking in the woods, he was behind Richard. And he was thinking to himself, like, he was calculating how long they have been walking so he could know when he's coming back so that he could call his mom and let him know, like, I made it safely. Well, he said all of a sudden, Richard acts like he's lost. And he's like, I thought it was right here. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's turn around and head back to the car. So now Richard is behind Scott. Scott is leading the way back to the car. And Scott said he was thinking to himself like, something doesn't feel right. He said in that instant, he heard Richard whisper, bitch. And he said he heard a gun click. So he turned around, knocked the gun out his hand, and they started fighting. He said his hat knocked off. And he said Richard was only able to shoot him in the elbow. He said he ran away as fast as he could from Richard, but he was staggering his run because Richard kept shooting at him. He said he dove in a pile of leaves, and it took him 7 hours to be brave enough to come out and start walking to look for help. And he said he finally found the house. Well, Richard is like, you're lying. You're a part of a gang and you were trying to kill me. But this is the thing. Why would Scott call the police?
We just had a gentleman come up to our front door. He claims that he's been shot. He's got some blood on him. So if you can have somebody come up here ASAP here.
Now this is where it all come together. The police checked the camera because they instantly was like, oh no. The police checked the camera of the breakfast spot and saw that all three of them did go to breakfast. They went back to the spot that Scott said he tried to kill him. The police went there and they found Scott's hat. Remember, Scott said his hat fell off. So Scott said his hat fell off and the police found it. So they're like, okay, it's making sense. Then as they're searching around, they run into a body. They're just looking for evidence to back up Scott's story and they see a hand in dirt. Pull it up, it's a whole body. In the midst of all this, a lady calls the police and says, my twin brother, David Polly, went down there for some dream job and just disappeared. So they do an autopsy on this mystery body. And guess whose body it is? The twin brother, David Polly's. And so they're like, okay. So they go back to the Craigslist ad that Scott said he responded to. And they connect a address. They go to this address with his picture. And they're like, hello, we are looking for Richard Beasley. He looks like this. Or Jack. Because Scott was saying, his name is Jack. His name is Jack. He told me his name was Jack. But when they connected it to the Craigslist ad, the account was Richard Beasley. So when they went to this address, they tell them who they're looking for. The man was like, yeah, I know him. He lives in my basement, but that's not his name. That's not his name. And they're like, huh? They're like, yeah, his name is Ralph. And they're like, okay, wait. So it went from Jack to Richard to Ralph. Okay, we looking for one of them three. And he's like, I haven't seen him in a while. So he just ghosted. And so they was like, well, we know he has a daughter. And we know that he hangs out with this teenager named Brogan. So they go to Brogan's house. And they instantly take him because they have a search warrant already. Like, they're already prepared. And so they have a search warrant. They find guns. So they're like, yeah, we're taking you into custody. What do teenagers do? Spill the tea. Brogan had all types of tea for the police. He was like, look, I ain't do it. It was him. Brogan the one that told on Richard. Richard was the one that tried to kill Scott. He's like, he's been doing this. There was another guy that he did this and he shot him right in front of me and then told me if I didn't dig the grave, then he was going to kill me too. He was like, so I did what he told me to do. I was always driving. And he was like, one time I picked up a guy for him and I heard Richard ask the guy, did you bring the laptop? And he was like, no, I just brung my car to switch in your name. So him switching his own car into Richard's name was basically a deposit for room and board since they're going to be staying at his house. So in the midst of all this, another woman calls the police and says, hello, I am from Maine. Tim Kern traveled to Ohio for the job of a lifetime and he disappeared. And I'm getting worried because he found this job on Craigslist. They go looking, and what do you know? They also find Tim Kern's body. So back at the police station, like I said, little Brogan spilling it all. He's like, one time he told this guy, I lost my watch at the last project. Can you come and help me find it before I show you where we staying? He was like, everybody would say yes. I just did what he told me to do. He's like, but I had no idea about a Craigslist post. He never told me about, I didn't know. So they went back to the landlord's house and they was like, can you give him a call? And we need whatever ID he turned into you. Of course, the ID said Ralph Geiger. So they call Richard, they do find him and they take him in, they lock him up. That's the part that I told you. They knocked on his door and was like, you're facing murder charges. You got to come with us. And he's like, what? I was the one that was murdered. So they held him in custody while they go look for the real Ralph Geiger. And they find out he is a 50-year-old homeless man. So they go to the homeless shelter and the homeless shelter says, yes, we know him, but the last time we seen him, he left for a dream job and they were providing room and board. And we haven't seen him since. And police also found Ralph Geiger's body. So during trial, attorneys argued and tried to convince the jury that Richard Beasley preyed on homeless men who were desperate for a job and would sell them this dream career of a lifetime, all in exchange to kill them and get their ID and then give himself a makeover to look like his victims. And Little Brogan's attorney argued that he was an innocent child with a rough childhood whose both of his parents neglected him, both of his parents on drugs, and he had no choice but to follow the lead of the only man that took him under his wing. So basically, he is Richard's victim as well. But the jury wasn't falling for none of that. Both of them got life in prison. And the only reason Brogan didn't get the death sentence was because he was technically still a minor. But they both got life sentences, and Richard also got the death penalty as well. Let's keep all three victims' names alive, and we wish peace on the surviving victim, who was Scott Davis. Also, Richard's daughter, her name is Tanya. She did a couple interviews. She was on a couple shows. I think it was called like The Monster in My Family or something. My heart goes out to her because she's really been affected by this whole situation of what her father has done. It affected her high school years and everything else. So it's just like when you make a bad decision, you are messing up a lot of people's lives that are connected to you, and people just, they don't think about that, all for $1. So not even taking into consideration this one mistake will ruin your whole life. Post notification goes to, thank you so much for having your post notifications on. Shout out to you for being the first to comment on the last video. If you would like a shout out, all you have to do is be the first to comment on the next video. If you would like to see more serial killer true crimes, then click right here. If you would like to subscribe to this channel so that you never miss another video, then click right here. I love you, and I will see you guys in the next mukbang.